Hello guys, welcome to Hatsheput Economics, Hatsheput. And it's me, Connie. Welcome back. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If you haven't been here before, please like and subscribe. Do it right now. Like and subscribe and hit that notification button for future notifications. So welcome back. And thank you to everyone for your support and to everyone who goes to this page and watches my videos. So I wanted to do this video a little bit part 2 on the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I got a lot of questions, and as you guys know, I keep most of my comments under review to keep my page PG-13 Sesame Street clean. But this video, I'm actually going to walk you guys through what are violations of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, because I got some really answers that blew me away. So I realized I'm the only nerd who has no life, and I know this page better than I know how to spell my name. That's really pathetic, but it is my passion. It is my mission. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want Black women to be empowered. Okay, this is not complaining. These are laws. If somebody walks up to you and stabs you in the stomach and you start bleeding, you're not going to be like, stop complaining, man. You got stabbed. No, that's actually illegal. These laws were put into place to protect minorities and specific statuses because government data shows and history that these people are vulnerable to discrimination, to unfair treatment. It didn't come out of nowhere. And these are federal laws. If you don't like the laws, I don't know what to say about it. You got to go someplace else. But I'm just going to talk to you about the discrimination, the laws, retaliation, and this goes for everybody. Anyone can watch this video. Anybody can use this video. I'm using straight from the page, but I think it's important to do this video. And before I even start going into it, I do HR counseling. I do help you write files to file a complaint with the EEOC. And I also offer career services. So if that's interesting to you, you can message me. I have a Facebook page, Hatsheput, and you can message me through Messenger. So let's go. You're not going to want to miss this. All right, so I'm scrolling down. So this is a main page, and they always have stuff. It's a lot here, but I go all the way down. Okay, and when you go all the way down the third column, it says what? Discrimination by type. And there's a lot. There is a lot. I don't blame you guys for getting confused, but it's discrimination by type. All right, so right here, all right, they have age discrimination, disability, equal compensation, genetic information, harassment, national origin, pregnancy, race and color, religion, retaliation, sex, sexual harassment, prohibited practices, record keeping, and the EEOC law poster, which should be in every place of employment, no questions asked. So I'm going to start with prohibited practices because everything's not about race. I think a lot of people will be surprised. And this is why I think there's so much opportunity because we don't catch these things in the beginning. I'm all about being proactive and providing solutions. So when we catch discriminatory practices from the beginning, perhaps it won't bleed into the whole corporation because it starts from the beginning. And the beginning is when people post jobs because that comes from the top down. Okay, so let's click into here. So this is prohibited employment policies and practices. So I'm going to read this with you guys. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to try to blow it up. All right. Hopefully you guys can read that as I'm going over in the screen. All right. So under the laws enforced by EEOC, it is illegal to discriminate against someone, an applicant or employee, because of that person's race, color, religion, including gender identity, sexual orientation, and pregnancy, national origin, age, 40 or older, disability, or genetic information. It is also illegal to retaliate against a person because he or she complained about discrimination, filed a charge of discrimination, or participated in an employment discrimination investigation or lawsuit. So one of the popular questions I got is, Connie, I'm working here. Can I file a suit? You most absolutely can. You're protected by federal law. All right. So these are prohibited practices. I'm going to go down some here. All right. The law forbids discrimination in every aspect of the employee. The law enforced by EEOC prohibited an employee or other covered entity from using neutral employment policies and practices that have disproportionately negative effect on applicants or employees of a particular race, color, religion, or sex, including gender identity, sexual orientation, pregnancy. Connie, what is that? All right, so for example, I get a lot of questions about zip codes. A lot of jobs been asking for people to work in specific zip codes. That is illegal. If that zip code is not a merry bunch of mixture of diversity, I see a lot of times higher paying jobs, high end jobs will ask for people to be working in a zip code, and I look that zip code up, and it's 88% non-minority. That's not good. Okay, so let me continue. Or national origin, or an individual with disability, or a class of individuals with disabilities. If the policies or practices at issue are not job related and necessary to the operation of the business. So if somebody puts a zip code and says you have to work in this specific neighborhood, and there's no actual reason, there's trains, there's buses, they can't really justify or put it into why is it paramount, and you notice that neighborhood only has a certain demographic, that can be a problem. All right. So the law enforced by EEOC also prohibits an employer from using neutral employment policies and practices that have a disproportionate negative effect on applicants or employees age 40 or older, if the policies or practices at issue are not based on a reasonable factor other than age. So for instance, EEOC right now, if you go to the main page, age discrimination is huge because of the exposure of social media and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram. Employers are looking at women particularly and seeing if they look too old. So companies that may use visual appeal or sex appeal, or they want a youthful appearance, or a certain look, a certain aesthetic, fat, overweight, whatever it may be, they can do that, okay? They're not supposed to, but because of that, age discrimination, the exposure of seeing people how they look before they actually apply for the job is up, and the EEOC is on it, okay? Job advertisements. It is illegal for an employer to publish a job advertisement that shows a preference for or discourages someone from applying for a job because of his or her race, religion, including gender identity, sexual orientation, and pregnancy, national origin, age 40 or older, disability, or genetic information. So this is basically the core. You're going to see this phrase over and over. For example, a help wanted ad that seeks females or recent college graduates may discourage men and people over 40. So you might see people say females or recent college graduates. Why? Why? It's illegal to target a group to pay them low. It's illegal to target a group for some kind of unfair working advantage. So a lot of these things we see, and we don't really say anything because we don't know. So right here is recruitment. It is also illegal for an employer to recruit new employees in a way that discriminates against them because of their race, color, religion, sex, including gender identity, sexual orientation, and pregnancy, national origin, age 40 or older, disability, genetic information. All right. For example, an employer's reliance on word of mouth, recruitment by its mostly Hispanic workforce may violate the law if almost all the new hires are Hispanic. So I'm glad they actually used a Hispanic example because this is also what I've been seeing. I had a case at Louis Vuitton, and this company, gets it all the time. And they were asking for only Spanish-speaking workers, which makes no sense because it's a French company. This is a way for them to drive, I guess, in their opinion, a more desirable demographic. I didn't say it. That's probably what they were doing. And you'll see sometimes jobs ask for you must speak Spanish or you must. You can report those openings. If they didn't do anything, oh hey. Especially if they're in New York. If you're in a diverse city like this, you can look at the job description and see if it's paramount. If you need to connect and speak to people who don't speak any English, that's perfectly understandable. Who cares? But if you're talking about must speak Spanish to work in Models or must speak Spanish to work in Bank of America, you really have to say what's going on. So if it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't sound right, it's probably not right. Okay? So let's go right here. application, and hiring. It is illegal for an employer to discriminate against a job applicant because of his or her race, color, religion, sex, including gender identity, sexual orientation and pregnancy, national origin, age 40 or older, disability, or genetic information. For example, the employer may not refuse to give an employment application to people at a certain race. So, have you ever had that experience when you walked into a store and said, "Hey, are y'all hiring?" And they're like, "Nah, we're not hiring." But you go online and they're hiring? Or you apply for a job and when you try to get, they interview you and they waste your time and tell you the job's been closed or they change the job description. That's actually illegal. If you can prove that the job, when that stuff happens, report it. File for the EEOC. Guys, if you don't file, you're not going to know. You have nothing to lose when you file. You don't, I mean, the reason why filing I think is so hard is because normally people have to go to attorneys and have an attorney draw it up. I mean, you can do it on your own, but if you don't know how to write that file or how to stick to the case of law, how to stick to the actual violations, bare bones, you might not get a successful file. But, that's why I'm around. And I try to help Black women to get this, these justice done because there's so many laws to protect you, but the laws can't protect you if you don't call them up. All right. An employer may not base hiring decisions on stereotypes, assumptions about a person's race, color, religion, including gender identity, sexual orientation, and pregnancy, national origin, age, 40 year old, disability, or genetic information. So, have you guys seen this thing called culture fit? Am I going crazy? I've been seeing a couple of Black women came to me, culture fit, culture fit, culture fit. Culture fit is probably the most discriminatory verb. I don't understand why companies would allow this. So put it like this. They're claiming that culture fit is someone that fits into the quote unquote atmosphere of the company, quote unquote, aesthetic of the company, quote unquote, the feel, the aura, the environment. If you're so concerned about culture fit, if it's genuine, I would actually look at the person's resume and see the companies where they have worked before. Every company had its own core beliefs and their own mantra they stick to. Whether it's, XY company believes in positivity, customer service. You might have ZB company. I'm using, figurative names. You might have ZB company that believes in customer service first and product knowledge. Every company, let's just say I worked at Macy's. You can go onto Macy's website. Let's do it together because I'm just crazy. So let's just type in Macy's. I'm doing this blind. I hope I don't get embarrassed. Let's see if Macy's has an agenda. So we're going to go to Macy's. Okay, official site. All right. So every company has a motto. So if you're looking for culture fit, you can easily look at that person's resume and see where they worked before and see if that culture aligns. If they have a history of working in places that align to your culture, they're perhaps not going to be a culture fit. So we're going to go here and let me see. Oh my God, this is a big site, right? Wow, the site is massive, but they're having a home clearance sale. That bed sheet look nice. I need furniture. Okay, all right. Connie, stick to this. You did not come here for this. You did not come here for this. So normally, culture fit, okay, is at the bottom. So when you guys are applying to a job, you can see what the company's about. So right here, it says, it should be here, our stores, Macy's card, Macy's Inc., Macy's.Inc. So I'm going to go to Macy's Inc. That should talk about us. Okay. So you can go here and you guys can use this. Listen to me. You guys can use this. So if you're applying for jobs and you want to ensure your culture fit, quote unquote, you can match the company culture that you're in and actually use that as part of your resume, incorporate that and make sure you comprise that in your interview and talk about it. Okay. So about us. All right. So this is Macy's little thing here. Macy's Inc. is one of the nation's premier retailers. I'm going to skip that fiscal sales, blah, blah. So this talks about their sales. So social responsibility, highlights, board and animal common governance, policies and positions, company history. Let's see company history. All right. Company history, annual report. Let's see. Diversity. About us. It should be here. Oh, I guess here. So they're just bragging. The company operates more than 700 department stores. Talking about Macy's. They got Macy's in Kuwait. let's see, Customer Bill of Rights, they have issues as well. Social responsibility. All right, so this is, public obligation. So they also have a big nonprofit thing here talking about human trafficking. That's not bad. Board of directors, press release, corporate vision. Okay, corporate vision. I found it. Corporate vision. All right. So corporate vision is the company culture. Guys, if you're listening to me, this can help you with an interview. This can help you be more offensive to this culture crap, because I don't even believe it. But this is how, let's just say I'm hiring somebody to work at J.C. Penney's, and on their resume, they have Macy's. As a recruiter, I wouldn't even have to contact that person. I can go to Macy's.com and I can look up the company. So corporate vision and financial objectives. So this is their corporate vision. Macy's Inc. is a premier omni-channel retailer with iconic brands that serve customers through outstanding stores, dynamic online sites, and mobile apps. Both Macy's and Bloomingdale's are known worldwide, and each has its own unique identity and customer focus. Bluemercury is widely recognized as the nation's largest and fastest luxury beauty products and spa retail. Macy's Inc. clearly recognizes the customer. Okay, this is their core. Macy's Inc. clearly recognizes that the customer is paramount and that its all actions and omnichannel strategies must be directed toward providing a personalized merchandise offering and shopping experience online and in store. All right. So aggressive implementation of the company's customer-centric strategies by talented, experienced organizations, Macy's Inc., with an important competitive edge. So they're customer-centric, based on customers. Customer service is paramount. At Macy's, our greatest strength lies in expertise, judgment, and talent of our people. Every day, a production of enormous magnitude takes place on our selling floors and behind the scenes, where our people bring the company's strategic goals to life. Our priority of attracting, retaining, and developing the most talented people in the retail industry has been and will continue to be our greatest advantage. Macy's Inc. is committed to open and honest communications with associates, shareholders, vendors, customers, financial analysts, and news media. The company seeks to be proactive in sharing information and keeping these key stakeholder groups up to date on important and material developments. All right. And they even have their financial objectives. So if you want to see, you know, even that is part of the culture, which is to grow sales profitability, maintain a profitable rate, improve return on invested capital, and maximize. So the reason why I bored your ass to death just now, there's no reason for people to guess if you will be prospectively a good culture fit. If you spent a lot of time in an environment like Macy's, you're going to be a good culture fit for JCPenney's. If you spend a lot of time in a company like Fendi or Prada, you will be a good culture fit for Saks. So all this, like, it's such a liability to actually meet someone, engage in someone, and say they're not a good culture fit. Like, this should be something that is on the job description. If it's that so much of a prerequisite, it should be inside of the job description. And most culture fits are. Most, I'm just gonna pull up a random, let's get crazy together. And I hope you guys see that. So if you've been rejected because of culture fit, you probably need to ask more questions and be like, what culture, what aspect, So I'm putting Indeed. So I am going to put store manager, and I'm going to put New York, because that's where I live. New York. I can't sing. So I'm just going to go to the very first store. No, what? Let's do this one. Let's just do the second one, just because I'm spiteful. So this is a luxury store manager, 60 to 65,000 a year, full-time commission, and help people get the best sleep of their life. And it talks about, the store. See? And they tell you, ideal candidate. Do you have a track record of achieving goals and more? Are you excited by change and challenges? Can you lead a team not only to meet but exceed goal while creating a positive workplace culture? Okay? And it tells you the successful candidate will have, and tells you everything here. Benefits. benefits there. And it states its EEOC policy down here, and that's it. So I don't understand why people of color are going through the entire work process, actually going through multiple interviews, going through phone screens, and then being told they're not a good culture fit. That's a red flag. All right. If an employer requires a job applicant to take a test, the test must be necessary and related to the job, and the employer may not exclude people of a particular race, color, religion, sex, including gender identity, sexual orientation, and pregnancy, national origin, or individuals with disabilities. In addition, the employer may not use a test that excludes applicants at age 40 or older if the test is not based on a reasonable factor other than age. If a job applicant with a disability needs accommodations, such as sign language interpreter, to apply for a job, the employer is required to provide the accommodation, so long as the accommodation does not cause the employer significantly difficulty or expense. So background checks, okay? Job referrals. It is illegal for an employer, employment agency, or union to take into account a person's race, color, religion, sex, um, including gender identity, national origin, genetic information, when making decisions about job referrals, okay? Job assignments and promotions. It's illegal for an employer to make decisions about job assignments and promotions based on, I'm not going to keep saying it. For example, an employer may not give preference to employees of a certain race when making shift assignments and may not segregate employees of a particular national origin from other employees or customers. An employer may not base assignment and promotion decisions on stereotypes and assumptions about a person's race, color, the same thing. If an employer requires employees to take a test before making decisions about assignments or promotions, that test may exclude people of a particular race. All right. Pay and benefits. All right. It is illegal for an employer to discriminate against an employee in payment of wages of employee benefits on the basis of race, color, including gender identity, national origin. Employee benefits include sick and vacation leave, insurance, access to overtime, as well as overtime pay and retirement programs. For example, an employer may not pay a Hispanic worker less than African American workers because of the national origin, and men and women in the workplace must be given equal pay for equal work. In some situations, an employer may be allowed to reduce some employee benefits for older workers, but only if costing providing the reduced benefits is the same cost as providing benefits to younger workers. So again, there's a lot of things that go here. All right. So these are the not popular ones. All right. Discipline and discharge. An employer may not take into account a person's race, color, religion, national origin, whatever, the whole thing I've been saying, in terms of getting rid of them for discharge. For example, if two employees commit a similar offense, an employer may not discipline them differently because of their race, color, religion, including gender, blah, blah, blah. You guys already know. When deciding which employees to be laid off, an employer may not choose the oldest workers because of their age. Employees also may not discriminate when deciding which workers to lay off. All right? Employment references. It's illegal for an employer to give negative or false employment references. This is why I tell people most recruiting agencies and staffing agencies will not call people randomly because it is illegal for an employer to give negative or false employment references or refuse to give a reference because of a person's race, color, religion, or sex. All right. Reasonable accommodation. The law requires that an employer provide reasonable accommodation to an employee or job applicant with disability, unless so would do, expense or be too expensive. All right. Reasonable accommodation in religion, training and apprentice programs, harassment. All right. This is another one. It's illegal to harass an employee because of race, color, religion. You get it. It's also illegal to harass them because they have complained about discrimination, filed a charge of discrimination, or participated in an employment discrimination investigation or lawsuit. Harassment can take the form of slurs, graffiti, offensive derogatory comments, or other verbal or physical conduct. Physical. Sexual harassment includes unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other conduct of sexual nature. It is also unlawful. Although the law does not prohibit simple teasing, offhand comments, or isolated incidents that are not very serious, harassment is illegal if it's so fervent or severe that it causes a hostile work environment or offensive work environment, if it's the result in an adverse employment decision, such as the victim being fired or demoted. All right. So harassment's really interesting for people of color because a lot of times they actually get into these situations and don't realize it is actually illegal. It's protected by law. All right. So it's really interesting. You can read here. The harasser can be the victim's supervisor, a supervisor in another area, a coworker, or someone who is not an employee of the employer, such as a client or customer. Harassment outside the workplace may be illegal if there's a link with the workplace. For example, if a supervisor harasses an employee while driving the employee to a meeting. All right? So terms and conditions of employment. All right? So the law makes it illegal for an employer to make any employment decision because of a person's race, color, blah, blah. That means an employer may not discriminate when it comes to such things as hiring, firing, promotions, and pay. It also means an employer may discriminate, for example, when granting breaks, approving leaves, assigning workstations, or getting any other term or condition of employment, however small. Pre-employment inquiries. As a general rule, the information obtained and requested through the pre-employment process should be limited to those essential for determining if a person is qualified for the job, whereas information regarding race, sex, national origin, age, and religion are irrelevant in such determinations. Okay? So this is, you know, this is this is very you heard me get quiet because I see this a lot. Employers are explicitly prohibited from pre-offer inquiries about disability. Although state and federal equal opportunity laws do not clearly forbid employers from making pre-employment inquiries that relate to or disproportionately screen out members based on race, color, sex, national origin, or age. Such inquiries may be used as evidence of an employer's intent to discriminate unless the questions can be asked justified by some business purpose. So, therefore, inquiries about organizations, clubs, societies, and lodges of which an applicant may be a member of, or any question may indicate the applicant's race, sex, national origin, disability, state, age, religion, color, or ancestry, if answered, should be generally avoided. Similarly, employers should not ask for a photograph of an applicant. If needed for identification purposes, a photograph may be obtained after an offer of employment is made and accepted. So this is actually terrifying because as an HR director, I see most applicants ask for your race. And this is why we need to report openings. Because I have seen applications ask for disability information, veteran status, race, and I've always said, you know what? Why do they need to have this information now? I'm not even a candidate. I'm just filling out an application. So I just want to go through this again. I think it's important. Just bear with me. If you don't want to hear it, you can skip the video. But I think I have to say this again because a lot of people that apply, this is an issue. So we're going to say it again. Pre-employment inquiries. As a general rule, the information obtained and requested through the pre-employment process should be limited to those essential for determining if a person is qualified for the job. Okay? Whereas information regarding race, sex, national origin, age, and religion are irrelevant in such determinations. So I think the gray area is they put it as volunteer, volunteer. But if you don't disclose, you can't go forward sometimes. Or if you pick other or I don't want to disclose, it can look like, okay, this person's definitely a minority because they're hiding. I don't think they should even allow that to be there, but oh well. Employers are explicitly prohibited from making pre-offer inquiries about disability. I see that all the time. I see it all the time. Although state and federal equal opportunity laws do not clearly forbid employers from making pre-employment inquiries that relate to or disproportionately screen out members based on race and blah, 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 uh, it can be used as evidence of an employer's intent to discriminate unless the questions asked can be justified by some business purpose. So isn't it funny when you actually apply for these jobs, you might see we're using this for reporting for the EEOC or we're using this for reporting for whatever. And the EEOC is like, nah, son, we don't want you to do that. All right. So yeah, yeah. And this is why I think LinkedIn is a big problem because you know, LinkedIn really gives people the opportunity to discriminate because you see how the government says no photograph with your application. Now people are running to LinkedIn to see what you look like. So that's a big potential problem. All right. Uh, Dress code and religion, constructive discharge, forced to resign. So you can't force somebody to resign by making the work environment so intolerable. A reasonable person would not be able to stay. So constructive discharge, discriminatory practice under the laws EEOC enforces also includes constructive discharge or forcing an employee to resign by making the work environment so intolerable a reasonable person can't stay. Happens to a lot of people of color, happens to a lot of protected statuses where they basically push the person out. Okay? It's really sad. So let's see height and weight. All right? Height and weight requirements tend to disproportionately limit the employment opportunities of some protected groups unless the employer can demonstrate how the need is related to the job, and it can be viewed illegal under federal law. This happens a lot to women of color. All right, a number of states and localities have laws specifically prohibiting discrimination basis of height and weight. All right, so that's there as well. Unemployed status. Unemployed status includes current or past periods of unemployment. Federal law does not prevent employers from asking about unemployed status, but the federal EEO laws do prohibit using this information to discriminate, which people ask all the time. If an employer does reject a job applicant based on unemployment status, it must do consistently without regard to race, color, and origin. So if you're going to disregard people because they were unemployed, that means you can't not do it to other people. All right. Employers also must not screen out job applicants based on unemployed status if it does not help the employer to accurately identify responsible and reliable employees, and if at the same time it significantly disadvantages people of color and race. So most people who are unemployed are what? People of color, particularly African American women. So now that you know that it's illegal, and I see people talking about this all the time on LinkedIn, talking about, you have to have a job, you have to be currently working, not knowing the law. So it's really important. I'm glad we're doing this. You see financial information, background checks, religious beliefs, citizenship, marital status, number of children, gender, disability, medical questions and examinations. So they can't discriminate based on any of these here. Okay? And one of the most popular discriminations I think I see that people don't realize is unemployed status. It's really crazy. It's really crazy because I see people who are unemployed literally telling me that they have to get a job, or lie that they're working. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're going to go back to the main page and we're going to talk about race discrimination. And we're going to see, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of other things here too: recruitment, application and hiring, job background checks, everything we covered basically, discipline, discharge, training, harassment, stuff like that. If you need me to go over it, or if you have a question about it, again, you can message me on my Hatsheput page. You can contact me on Messenger. But I do want to cover before I go. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Hope I'm not too dry. All right. So I just think it's important for you guys to know. A lot of people don't understand how broad this law is. And I do want to say something. It does vary in terms of the excellence of execution. So I call that EE. So a lot of the blue states that are Democrat or liberal, I'll be honest with you, really make laws and backup laws that reinforce the EEOC. So for example, you have 180 days to file from the actual occurrence. Most states give you an extension. New York, you have 300 days. But depending on where you are, it may just be 180. It varies by state. Again, more liberal states do embrace the blue laws. I'm not blue laws, the EEOC laws. The red states, unfortunately, tend to hamper it or just don't make laws to support it. So I don't know why they do that. I'm not too sure. But we're going to go to race and color. All right. So race and color fall into several categories. Race and color discrimination. So a lot of people don't know about this. So race discrimination involves treating someone or an applicant unfavorably because he or she is a certain race or because of the personal characteristics associated with race, such as hair texture, okay, skin color, okay, or certain facial features. Color discrimination involves treating someone unfavorably because of their skin color per complexion. This is protected by federal law. Look at the eagle. It's protected by federal law. Race color discrimination also can involve treating someone unfavorably because a person's married to or associated with a person of a certain race or color. So even if you are black and your husband's white and they saw your husband's white, or you are a black man and your wife is Hispanic, that can go towards it. Discrimination can occur when the victim and the person who inflicted the discrimination are the same race or color. The reason why this was recently added is because the EEOC found out that certain companies that were practicing racial tactics were using black people or Hispanic people as scapegoats, meaning that they would hire an HR manager or a recruiter that was of a minority, but yet the HR manager would practice discriminatory things and thinking that it was a great way to cover. So they made sure to add that discrimination can occur when the victim and the person who inflicted the discrimination are the same race or color. All right? I hope that makes sense. So the law forbids discrimination when it comes to any aspect of employment, including firing, hiring, pay, job assignments, promotions, layoffs, training, fringe benefits, and any other term or condition of employment. So this is race, color discrimination, and work situations. Race, color, and discrimination and harassment. It is unlawful to harass a person because of that person's race or color. Harassment can include, for example, racial slurs, offensive derogatory remarks about a person's race or color, or the display of racially offensive symbols. Although the law doesn't prohibit simple teasing, offhand comments, or isolated incidents that are not very serious, harassment is illegal when it's so frequent or severe that it creates a hostile work environment or offensive work environment, or when it results in an adverse employment decision, such as a victim being fired or demoted. The harasser can be the victim's supervisor in another area, a coworker, or someone who's not an employee of the employer, such as a customer. All right? So we're down here now. This is the final part. Race color discrimination in employment policy practices. An employment policy or practice that applies to everyone, regardless of race and color, can be illegal if it has a negative impact on the employment of people of a particular race or color and is not job related and necessary to the operation of the business. For example, a no beard policy that applies to all workers without regard to race may be still unlawful if it is not job related and has a negative impact on the employment of African American men who have a predisposition to a skin condition that causes severe shaving bumps. So look how much protection that is. And again, guys, this is the main EEOC page. And basically, the EEOC fights discrimination based on this. All right. So all the discrimination is based on this type of law, which is illegal to discriminate a job applicant or employee because of the person's race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, gender identity, sexual orientation, national origin, age, 40 or older, disability, genetic information. It's also illegal to discriminate against a person because the person complained about discrimination, filed a charge of discrimination, or participated in employment discrimination investigation or lawsuit. All right? All right? So this is the EEOC. If you need any information on how to file, if you have a prospective case you think you can file, you can contact me. Or if you just want advice or just have a question, leave your questions in the comment section. Leave your questions in the comment section. You guys know I always answer. I try my best to answer. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to go through the EEOC and the core of it and what prospectively are the violations. It's a massive site. There's more to it. Be sure to explore it. As always, I'll leave the description and the link in the description box. All right, guys. This is Hatsheput. Have a wonderful day and enjoy. Bye-bye.